Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is me, Ginger from Riverside Productions, and in today's tutorial we are going to be learning how to add in those deep and aggressive 808 bass lines to your UK drill tracks in Logic Pro X. We'll be focusing on integrating 808s with your existing drum beats and melodies. So this isn't how to create a full track. This is if you've got a track going on already and you are struggling to program in the 808 pattern. So first and foremost, make sure that you are set up and ready to go, that you've got your song, you've got your elements in your loop. If you don't have something, then what I'll actually do is add in this project to the description below so that you can mess about with it. And essentially what we're going to do is just quickly have a listen, and then I am going to be walking you through how to import the 808 and how to program it in. Right, so the first thing that you want to do is go up here and create a new track. And within this new track, we are going to press create. And we're going to load up a instance of Logic's multi-sampler. And we're going to open up a stereo instance of it. And we're going to go to our browser. And I'm going to get this 808 sample here, which is from a decap pack. And the reason why I'm selecting this one is it has got a nice long tail on it. For UK drill, we want samples that have that tail because these notes are going to be played for a longer period of time. It's not like one of the Zay 808s, which is short. This is more of a longer type of 808 kind of pattern. What we're going to do is hold it and drag it over to optimize, and I'm going to put zones per file. And this will map the entire sample on our MIDI keyboard. Then what I'm going to do is just quickly go over to the synth parameter, and we're going to go to details and just set up our glide. So we're going to put up our glide to 60 milliseconds. So essentially with the glide, the higher the number means the longer it takes for the note to glide into the next one, and vice versa. We also want to put our mode to legato, and we're pretty much good to go. So now let's dive into programming those 808s. With your drum pattern playing, you want to start by finding the right place to put in the 808s. The first hit should typically align with your kick drum, and you want to make sure that your 808s are emphasizing the main rhythm laid out by your drum. So what I'm going to do first and foremost is just have a quick listen again to my drums, to my melody. And generally speaking, if your melody is following a chord progression like the one here, we want to essentially put a new note per chord change just to start off with, and that's what I'm going to do in the first part of this tutorial. So the key of this track is in F minor, and this is not about music theory, so I'm not going to be explaining that, but I am going to be laying out these notes. And again, like I say, I'm going to be laying them out where the chord changes. So we'll start off on the root note, which is F, and I'm going to play it here. There's another key change here. Okay, so we've got our very basic 808 pattern, and essentially what this is doing is it is following the main chord progression going on here. So I'm just going to play these two together so you see what I mean. So what we've done here is we've listened to the melody and we've identified the strongest notes or phrases within that melody. And these are pretty much our targets for the 808 placements. Once we have this basic formation down, we can then start to add in some slides. And we can also adjust where the 808s are hitting, because at the moment it feels very straight, and with UK drill we kind of want to offset these hits slightly so that it has a more of a anticipated effect and more of a call and response kind of vibe. So the first note playing here, and I'm going to actually repeat it again just before the bar ends. And what I can now do is add a slide. So with that selected, to add a slide, what you're essentially going to do is you're going to put a note above this note in the key of that song. So what I'll do here is I'll add one up here, which is an octave up. Now with this particular hit, it's coming in a little bit early for me. I'm actually going to shift it over a little bit. Let's see how this sounds. Not quite. I'm going to shift it over a little bit more. I'm also going to double this note again before we go into the next bar. So let's just loop this last section here. I'm going to shorten that a bit. And I think I'm going to double this like that. Just highlight all of that and press Shift Backspace just so that it doesn't have any overlap. And what I'm going to do here right at the end is I'm just going to play around with some of these notes here to create a bit of a slide melody. So what I could do is create an octave, and what I want to do so that it glides is I want to make sure that this note is prolonged out, so anything above it will slide. And I'm going to add another note in here by clicking on that. Right, so let's have a listen now to how this all sounds as a loop. I'm going to just remove the drums for a minute just so that we can hear the main melody and the 808. And I'm just going to clean up the melody slightly just to get rid of some of those lows, just so that the 808 can have some space. Alright, so we have a pretty simple pattern going on here. The next thing that we want to do is not to forget to play around with the dynamics by varying the velocity of the 808 hits. So typically with the strong 808 hits that hit on, you know, the chord changes, we want these ones to be pretty much at full velocity. But with the higher notes, because these ones are typically higher in pitch, they are going to poke out a little bit more in the mix. Well, what we can do with these is adjust the velocities. So what I like to do is any of the high notes, I'll click on it and I'll put the velocity down to probably around 80. And this means that those higher notes are less prominent in the mix, and you don't have to fool around later on with compression. You can do it within the MIDI region. I can hear another slide here. So sometimes as a note hits, you can put one up, which is of an octave. So if we grab this one here and copy it up and add another one here, it kind of slides into the note, and we'll put it up like that. Let's see how this sounds. At the start, and maybe just long it out more. And then long out this note. Alright, I'm quite happy with that. Now, another thing bear in mind, guys, when you are programming in these 808s is, as I say, you want to just have a listen to your pattern. And you know, this is quite a straight pattern. You know, what you want to do is create a bit of tension and release. So sometimes, for example, when you know the chord is changing, like in this section here, we've kind of offset it a bit. And we can also add in some stutters. So for example, in this last section of the bar, we'll have a listen. So instead of having that high octave, we can actually do something like this. And we can break this particular note here into 4 sections. So we could do something like this. Again, just avoid the overlap. And then at the last part, let's have a quick listen. We could actually get it to glide, so get rid of that last piece there, long that part out, and again copy this up into an octave. And we could do something really crazy actually. We could go so maybe not so much, but let's have a listen. Just no, actually let's just keep it on the 2. So with that there. Right, let's have a listen to that all together, guys. As you can hear, I've actually got a kick hitting. And sometimes what you want to do as well is where your kick's hitting, you actually want your 808 to maybe come in at a different point because the kick is already emphasizing the change. So here particularly, I've got the 808 and the kick kind of happening at the same time. So I could actually offset kick drum and put it slightly over. And that kind of creates that, you know, bouncy kind of vibe because the 808 and kick drum are not punching at the same time. So that pretty much wraps up our session on programming 808s in UK drill tracks. Use these tips to enhance your productions and just play around with your pattern. Remember that you don't always want your 808s to be hitting exactly on each change of the chord progression. You want to vary it up a little bit to give the track more of a mysterious vibe so that the listener isn't expecting it to hit exactly where they think it's going to hit, and that kind of gives it that syncopated vibe. And yeah, just play around with the kick hits and yeah, with the slides as well. Play around with the glide milliseconds, play around with the melody of the 808 pattern. Don't go too crazy though, because less is always more, and see how you get on. And yeah, thanks for watching this video, guys. I hope it's been of a help. If it has, do drop a thumbs up button down below, and if you've got any questions, do feel free to hit me up, and subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this. And I'll see you in another video from myself, Ginger from Riverside Productions.